about 3 months ago, Scott calls me and he says he has a light therapy studio in Fort Lee. And he starts to tell me a little bit about the technology, that it originated from NASA, the people that put astronauts into space, and that there's also a bunch of sports teams using this, like the Dallas Cowboys football team. And I became very intrigued. I had a nagging injury at the time, and something that was with me for months. It was my right elbow. It originated from my wrist. I do a very intensive workout with a trainer, and I hurt myself in the gym. I just overdid it one day, I guess, or I had a weakness. And I tried a lot of different things, and nothing was healing this elbow until I saw Scott at his studio, and I think it took about 5 sessions for about 90% of the pain and inflammation to go away. And I've been a customer ever since. Scott, how did you come upon this? I remember you said you were in dental sales or something, or what was the story?
Yeah, so my background is in dental hygiene. And then I got into dental sales, selling and training doctors with a dental laser. So this was a laser that would cut teeth and cut soft tissue, but it would also do what we call photobiomodulation, which just means that we're using light energy not as a cutting tool, but as a healing tool. And through that knowledge, I started to understand more about how this can benefit the entire body. And I had issues of my own, neuropathy, idiopathic in the hands and feet. And like you, I was trying everything out there.
You had neuropathy?
Yeah, peripheral, so hands and feet.
From diabetes or just something else?
No, they could not figure out what it was. So, I went to a number of doctors, number of physicians. Nobody seems to have figured it out. And like you, just nothing was working until I started to do light therapy. And now I'm at about 90% improvement like you. And it's not something that affects my daily activities anymore. So huge difference.
This is the same light that's in a laser beam, only it's not as concentrated. I think that's the way you explained it.
Correct.
To me,
so
right?
These are in LED bulbs. So what we do is we get specific wavelengths. So the best analogy would be, we all know photosynthesis. The plant brings in the energy from the sun. There's an actual chemical reaction, and the plant responds and grows. We can take that same plant, bring it inside, no sunlight, but put it under bulbs and get the same effect. That's what we're doing here. But again, we're using very specific wavelengths that we know scientifically interact at a cellular level to create more energy. And that energy is everything our body needs to function.
The image we're looking at right now, this is the light bed, or the light pod as it's called. And so this works like, you told me this works like a tanning bed, only the light is also absolutely different. But the client goes in, they first turn on the machine, they go in, they pull down the door or the ceiling, I guess. And so what is this doing to the body? What are the benefits that are occurring while someone's under this kind of light therapy?
So the light bed has about 3,000 bulbs. We got 2 different wavelengths, superficial and one that penetrates a little bit deeper. So again, at a cellular level, we get a cascade of events. Main thing is reduction in inflammation, increase in oxygen, and an increase in healing. We're doing the exact same thing here with the light wand. We're just doing it on more specific, localized areas where we want deeper penetration, so we can get into the back muscles, into the shoulder or the knees or the hips, or even into the brain.
Okay, so the wand is used for more like acute situations where there's more localized or intense pain. Could be a sports injury, or I mean, in my case, it was I was just overdoing it, I guess, with the weights. So I had a weakness inherent. I have very thin wrists, so I believe from that weakness I hurt my wrist, and then that pain did migrate to the elbow because the muscles that are around the elbow were probably compensating as I was doing the exercise. So, I mean, this was a problem. This was weeks and weeks of, I didn't have the pain while I was working out, but I had it mostly in between sessions. Now, what was even more, I thought more impressive. Oh, and by the way, I think I'm at around 93%. So since I last saw you, that last session did improve the injury a bit. So we were going to touch base on what was that? Oh, the burn. I remember there was a day where I was leaving and you said, "What is that on your wrist?" And it was a burn. I do a lot of cooking for myself, so sometimes as I'm putting things in and out of the stove, I rest my wrist momentarily, my hand on the hot rack inside the stove, and I had what was probably a really bad first-degree burn that blistered, and then the blister came off, and I had a nice scab on my wrist, which that was about I think about 1.75 inches wide, and you treated it with the wand with the light therapy, and I swear I watched this scab for the rest of the day actually shrink down to almost nothing the next morning, where it was just this little sliver that was hanging there waiting to fall off. And normally when I get these burns, because I get them every once in a while because I do a lot of cooking, I change my whole diet, so I'm more in control of what I eat. And I know that normally that kind of an injury would have taken 2.5 to 3 weeks to clear up completely. But one light therapy treatment on the affected area, and the healing it appeared that it accelerated and didn't stop until it was healed. Like the scab was almost gone, and all I have is a little scar that's actually continues to fade. Because I continue with getting the sessions in the bed. So this is really, I mean, I'm very impressed. So what is this? How did this start with NASA? What's the story behind that?
It's important to bring up the history of this, because a lot of times people will see this light and they're like, no, it couldn't possibly. This has 40 years of study behind it. Started with NASA to be used for the astronauts because it's very difficult for wounds to heal in zero gravity. It's been taken over now by sports teams. So as you mentioned, the Dallas Cowboys, the Phoenix Suns, the gymnastics team, the Navy SEALs are using this as well as thousands of hospitals and clinics with over 5,000 studies done on light therapy.
Industry adopting this, or where are we with this out in the industry? What's going on? Like diabetic patients that, we've all heard of the telltale diabetic foot wound that will not heal because the circulation's not getting there. What can this affect something like that? Your technology, it can really. So, and is it being used for that yet, or is this in the early stages of traditional medical industry adopting this, or where are we with this out in the industry? What's going on?
So yeah, there's some good studies on diabetic ulcers showing that it increased the healing process by well over 60%, which is huge. This should be in every hospital burn clinic. They're already using it for newborns that suffer from jaundice. So we are seeing it out there. It just hasn't quite gone mainstream or kind of trickled down to the average person, but it's getting there. It'll come in time.
Right. So what have we seen these lasers? So we've been seeing them used for jaundice, for sports injuries, right? So the sports teams have actually purchased some of these units, right? The wand unit, the beds, I would assume.
Yeah. So like the Nike Oregon Project running team for the U.S. Olympics actually shipped a bed down to the last Olympics down in Brazil, and their runners use it every single day. And they spoke on how it allowed them to push themselves harder because they had more oxygen, how it decreased their recovery time because it reduced the inflammation. So they could continuously push themselves harder and at greater intervals. And when we talk about athletics like the Olympics or football teams or baseball or whatever, we're talking about split second differences that can make or break the race or the game or whatever else. So huge impact.
Okay, so what about like a real world application? So I have a lot of women reading the magazine. So your target demographic looks something like this: Whole Foods soccer mom with a couple kids, dad's working in Manhattan, executive maybe. She's looking to keep the family very healthy. She's got a lot on her plate. She's taking care of a whole house. Maybe she's even working on her career as well, part-time, full-time, taking care of the kids. What can she get out of this?
So the thing is, we all tend to suffer because we have so many environment
obligations.
Yeah, we have so many environmental toxins, either with our diet, pollution, medications. So most of our systems are not running at a high level that it should be. So this can benefit the mom with low energy, or suffering from an autoimmune. Obviously, it can benefit the dad who's in the 40s or 50s, who's trying to stay active, but it's just so difficult, and they're plateauing, and they've got injuries that are keeping them sidelined. So it can, and as you saw in the video, the face pod, just as we're healing the body, we can heal the skin.
Mm-hmm.
So for the face, whether it is acne for the kid, whether it's fine lines or wrinkles,
some cutaways,
psoriasis, rosacea, sunspots.
And Tiffany mentioned in a video, it builds collagen, right? Not just the face, but I would assume hands as well, everywhere. Okay, so it builds collagen, and so it is inherently, just by being exposed to this light, it's improving the skin in numerous different ways.
Yeah, and again, the light only does a few things. That's the key. It only does a few things. It helps increase energy. It helps bring oxygen in, and it helps reduce inflammation. But those three things are so huge. As we think about it, most of the diseases, degenerative diseases, injuries that we've got, the underlying factor is inflammation. If we can reduce inflammation, increase the oxygen flow, it is amazing how the body will react to that.
Okay, so this light has been proven, and there are, like you said, thousands, not just a handful, but there are thousands. There are something like 5,000 medical studies that show that prove how this light heals, right? So you're removing the underlying inflammation, and if you remove the inflammatory response, of course, what does that do? That allows the body to heal itself. It provides better conditions physically, so the body can heal itself. That's all this is doing. This is not, right? This is not some magic. This is just technology that's supporting the body's own regenerative healing structure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Star Trek where they wave the light and you saw the scar just heal, but it's getting there, so right. But yeah, it just does those few things, but it does it really, really well. And our body tends to get stuck. It tries to heal itself correctly. Yeah. It doesn't quite get all the way. We get left with chronic inflammation. We get left with scar tissue. That's why we have those chronic aches and pains in the joints. So all we're doing is we're speeding up the process. We're kind of waking up the cells to say, let's get this stuff going.
Okay, can you talk a little bit just about what is the light doing? What are the nuts and bolts mechanics of this, based on some of the studies you've read and some of the results you've seen with your clients? What is What is happening?
So the light, again, a specific wavelength, 660, 810, 1064. It enters the cell. The cell pulls the energy in at the level of the mitochondria. The mitochondria, thousands in each cell, and we've got trillions of cells, and each cell can produce up to 1 million ATP. The mitochondria produce ATP, which is our energy source. That mitochondria can get blocked up by nitrogen oxide. What that energy, light energy, is doing is it's freeing that mitochondria to bring in oxygen and to produce ATP at the energy level that our body needs to heal. And that's beyond just inflammation. That can be an increase in melatonin serum, which can help us sleep. Hormonal balances as well. Gene transcription, blood cell replication. So once we get the energy to produce what we need, then again, that's that cascade event of hundreds of things that our cells are supposed to do for our body on a daily level.
Okay. So, and currently you've mentioned that it is being utilized by the traditional or mainstream medical industry, but not at the levels we'd like to see yet. So I'm assuming this is, or the applications we're using it for here are kind of fairly new. Not so new when you're talking about NASA and sports teams and people that have had this information for a long time. But I would assume that now maybe the technology is becoming a little bit more affordable. So we're going to be seeing studios like yours. I'm certain of it opening up in other areas. And I think what we're all looking at is perhaps the first of its kind of studio that provides light therapy, and I'm just wondering why this is, these units aren't in every doctor's offices, but that's because people need to learn about this, and that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, and it takes time. There's I put years into learning and understanding how light therapy works. So it takes somebody who believes in it to really take the time to dedicate to understand how this works and how it can benefit their clients. But we can look back at chiropractors 25 years ago was considered voodoo. Now it's mainstream.
Right. Yeah, they were voodoo. They were considered witch doctors. Right. Mainstream medicine still doesn't want to involve themselves with chiropractors to any great degree. But now I think they're seeing the validity in what a lot of these chiropractors have been doing over the years, and their model is basically preventative. Aside from the adjustments that they're doing, my chiropractor is a first and foremost nutritionist and acupuncturist. Mm-hmm. So whatever I need, he's pretty much there to help consult me on it. And that allows me to take responsibility into my hands and then create whatever lifestyle changes I need to create in order to support a more healthy lifestyle. I don't know what a healthy lifestyle is, at every turn.
Well, here's a good point is your chiropractor is not just doing adjustments. And that's the same thing, there's no one trick kind of pony that solves everything. Same with light therapy. We can do a lot to benefit the client, but we've got to go deeper in some cases. We've got to figure out what is causing these issues to begin with. If there's diet issues, yes, we can reduce inflammation that's being caused by the diet, but we've got to address the diet. So what I like to do in my wellness center is have more of a collaborative effect with the client to go at them from different angles so that we can best treat them.
Understood. What I see in the future is light therapy being incorporated into health, healthy lifestyle regimen, also pain reduction treatment. I'm impressed. I mean, just what really impressed me more than even healing my elbow was how quickly that burn just started to heal. You have to see this. You have to see this. So if you do have some kind of a topical, like injury to your skin, and you're seeing Scott for this, he is doing an introductory first session, $25 for all the readers of Natural Awakenings. So it gives you kind of a risk or a very low risk way of checking this out. I'm a client. I highly recommend this. It's the technology's proven to me that it does what it says it does, and I'm not surprised NASA and some of these major sports teams are using it for a number of years now. So very, very impressive. Oh, I wanted to, before we go, there's that one unit in your studio that does not utilize light. That's the Vibra, I believe it's called, the vibrational platform. Can you tell us a little bit about what the Vibra does?
Yeah, so the vibration plate, it offers fitness and health benefits. So as the machine vibrates, it transmits energy to the body. So it forces the muscles to contract and relax, dozens of times per second. So it's a 10-minute session. It can aid in fat burning, improve flexibility, enhance blood flow, increase strength, reductions of stress hormones, cortisol, decrease in bone loss for those people, geriatrics suffering with osteoporosis, improved posture, improved balance.
Really?
Yeah, so it's got a lot of benefits on its own.
Wait.
Now I bring it.
You said it does something with the lymph also, right? With the lymph?
It gets the blood and the lymphatics going. So I use it mainly for that reason, because I want those cells alive. I want them awake, and I want them pulsing when you're laying in the bed, so that in that 10-minute session, we're gonna get as many cells to absorb that light energy as possible.
Oh, okay. So that's a really good strategy. Okay, so we do the vibrational plates first, and then
Mm-hmm.
that kind of preps the cells to take in and process more of the light, the beneficial light that's coming in. So, I mean, especially after last session, I do notice I always feel this after a session, an enhanced sense of well-being. So no matter how I come in, I'm always leaving a bit improved. So if I come in and I'm already feeling good, I just feel better. What's bad about that? I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
no, absolutely, and that's what I hear from the majority of people. Hey, good case in point. I was treating the Skyline Run group the day before they had a half marathon, and they came in with some plantar fasciitis, shin splint, tight IT bands, and so we did the full treatment. And we had 6 runners come in during the race. 4 out of the 6 got their personal best, and a few of them came up to me and they said, "You know what? Typically at the halfway point, my IT band starts to cause issues, and that slows me down." They said they went through the entire race without any issue. So these are great anecdotal evidence to say how this is working for the athlete. But yeah, you bring up a good point. This release of this sense of well-being when you leave, because it increases the oxygen flow. We have been able to measure that the oxygen flow to the brain has increased, and then the oxygen flow back has decreased, meaning the brain is utilizing that oxygen. So many times, because of what we're having, our toxins in our body, or because we have trauma, head injuries, even going as far as Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, we have inflammation in the brain. If we can reduce that inflammation, increase the oxygen.
This therapy can help prevent a lot of the disorders that the ailments you've been rattling off. the blood flow to the brain, you said that was actually measured. Was that done in a medical
Yes.
clinical trial somewhere? Or
Yes. So it's
okay,
yeah, it's not a
I'll
difficult.
post that. You know what? After the call, I want you to link me to that, and I think that's really important. So,
Mhm.
and I know there are hundreds, actually thousands of other studies on this particular light therapy. So um, the technology's out there. I think the lifestyle protocols are out there. It's just we have to start utilizing them, and we have to start utilizing more of the technology. So my job as a publisher is to um, share this with folks. So whether it's through the magazine or the radio show or whatever book I have coming out soon, I'm going to uh, talk about this. It's why, because I'm using it and I'm having great results, and I can't believe how effective it is. That elbow injury, I didn't think that would ever leave me. It was just so stubborn. I was trying a lot of different things, and acupuncture, um, topricin cream, and blowing out the pressure points, and bats and all kinds of stuff. Nothing was working. So I'm very impressed, and I know that it will heal 100% once we're all said and done, because I'm seeing that progress already, and just fantastic. I know there'll be one of these studios, light therapy studio, in every town, probably in about 10 to 15 years. We're going to see that. So this is not going away.